Hey everyone, I hope you're all well. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about my experience of house moving so far. So if you're new here, then you might not know I'm in the process of moving house, and I currently already have an apartment which we have sold. But I'm going to go through all of that and just go through the steps and answer some of your questions as well, because I got you to send in some questions over on my Instagram. I just also want to clear up that I'm not advising people to do anything. This is just my personal experience to try and help you guys with yours, basically. So I'm in my car. I've got myself a Costa. I was going to do a mukbang, but I'm not very good at like multitasking and like eating and talking, so I thought it'd be best I just get a coffee. And I've had to open the windows because it's getting hot in here, so sorry if you hear any outside noise, but I can't sit in here with the windows shut. I thought I'd come in my car because I want it to be like a chilled video. I feel car chats are just a bit more chilled out, and I want to kind of make you guys feel like you're just chatting to a friend. And I want to just kind of talk like I'm chatting to a friend, like as if I was telling a friend the process of my house move. I want it to be like that sort of thing. I don't want it to be very formal. I hope it comes across that way, because like I said in my Instagram story post, it can be quite daunting, like the house moving process and like all these words. You feel stupid asking silly questions. On my Instagram story post, I did say how intimidating it can feel asking stupid questions to professional people, because I personally haven't experienced anything like that, but I know that other young girls my age have, you know, like walked into an estate agent and felt really intimidated, and the people in there have made them feel really small. So, you know, I know that when a young couple look to do these big things, sometimes you do get looked down on. Right, I've made a little list because I don't want to miss anything, so I've just kind of jotted down what I want to talk about and what I want to cover. So we've got an apartment that we have now sold, but let me take you right back to when we started looking. We've been in our apartment for about 4 years this year, and we purchased that apartment with a Help to Buy loan, and that is when the government give you money towards your deposit for your property. When I say we, I'm saying me and my partner Harry. We didn't really deal with that process much. My dad took a lot of it over because I was 20 and Harry was what, 23 when we moved out. So we were quite young and we had absolutely no idea what we was going through, and you know, we were so young and clueless. Well, I was anyway. So my dad took a lot of it over, and he kind of read for all the paperwork and kind of relayed it back to me, but he took over a lot of the meetings and phone calls and stuff like that. So we didn't really have to do much when we bought our apartment. That's why this time round we were probably still clueless, because we didn't really deal with it in the first place. We just kind of moved in and we paid our monthly payments, like our mortgage and all our bills we paid on our own, and we sorted all that out. We've been there 4 years, and we knew that roughly around about the 5-year mark that we would want to start looking to move, because basically when you've got a Help to Buy loan, you don't pay nothing back for the first 5 years, but when 5 year hits, you start to pay back, I think it might just be interest. Because my friend Hazel Wood, who some of you guys might know, helped me a hell of a lot through this process as well. So she was really helpful to me, and she did explain a lot. So because I thought when you get the Help to Buy loan, after the 5 years, they don't make it very clear, but you think that you have to pay it back in like big lump sums, because that's what was said to me. They said you can only pay it back in big lump sums or in full. So I was panicking, thinking after that 5 years is up, we're gonna have to start paying a chunk of £1,000 or more. So I was like, right, we need to be, well, both of us, me and Harry, were like, we need to be out by the 5 years, because we ain't got just £1,000 to just blow on the Help to Buy loan, you know. I know we can save for it, but we just didn't really want to do that. We wanted to get out and pay back the Help to Buy loan with what we'd made in the apartment, the equity. So last year, just before all this COVID stuff happened, we actually had a valuation, which is when someone comes around to your property and they value it. Value means like they tell you how much it's worth. We had someone come around before we went into lockdown and they told us what our place was worth, and I just kind of kept putting it off because in my mind I thought that we needed a lot of money to move again. I mean, even my parents were saying you need about 10 to 15 grand to, you know, move out, to even think about it. So I was like to Harry, you know, it's not even worth it. We ain't got the money there to move out anyway, so what's the point? We're just wasting our time. But then we went into lockdown, so nothing happened. After lockdown, we looked into it again. It was mainly Harry. He was like, should we get someone around to value our place? Like, he was all for it. Whereas me, I was like, because I knew that we needed money behind us to move, I kept putting it off. I was just like, okay, whatever, like, get someone round. We also arranged a call with a mortgage broker as well, just to kind of see what our options were, because it all sounded like it was doable. So I was like, okay, maybe we don't need money behind us to move. So we had a call with a mortgage broker. They require 4 months or 3 months pay slips, and they will ask for, I think, 3 or 4 months of your bank statements with your names and address on them, and then passports, driving license, stuff like that. So we had a call with a mortgage broker and he basically told us what we could borrow and kind of went through, you know, what our monthly payments would be and stuff like that. So at that point it was all looking really promising, and it was looking like we didn't need our own money to move because we'd built up so much equity in our apartment that that money would go towards our new home. This is what I mean, it wasn't really planned. Like, we started looking into it, but it wasn't really me, it was all Harry, if I'm honest. He was kind of like nagging me to do it. So yeah, it's not like we said, right, 2021 we're gonna move. It just didn't, you know, we didn't plan it, it just kind of happened. We had a couple calls with mortgage brokers to see what ones were the best, because they also charge fees, mortgage brokers. So then we decided to put our apartment on the market. The estate agent that we went with was a kind of no sell, no fee thing. So basically you don't pay nothing to them until you sell your property. So if we was to put our place on the market and it didn't sell and we decided to take it off because we've just, I don't know, changed our mind, we wouldn't have to pay the estate agent anything because that's their policy. It's a no sell, no fee. So we put it up, and about a week and a half after it was up, it sold. So we had, I'd say we had about 5 or 6 viewings. It sold. So that was good, because I was stressing for the first week. It was really quiet and I was like, oh God. And we had put it up for a little bit more than what other properties were going around in our area for. So I was a bit like, oh God, I don't think this is gonna work. And it kind of had to be sold at that price for us to be able to move into our new home, if that makes sense. And then as soon as it sells, you have to start looking for your new home. Like, as soon as it sells, it's kind of, you've got to move very quickly, because let's face it, the people buying our place are, I mean, luckily they're first time buyers, so there's no chain behind us, which is good. I mean, they obviously are in a rush because maybe they're renting or something, and obviously they want to get into their first home, but it's not a rush as such as like they've got somewhere to sell and it's a chain, you know? So yeah, once we knew that our place was sold, we started looking as soon as possible at houses, and nothing was really coming up. So I was again panicking a little bit, but I kind of kept telling myself the right house will come up at the right time. Everything kind of works itself out. I would say about a week after our place sold, we found our home that we are currently going for. Like, our offer's been accepted and stuff. So we saw it, we viewed it, we put an offer in, it got accepted the same day, and it was like all go from there. So once our offer got accepted, it was like, okay, now we need to go on to the next step. So the next step was to find a mortgage broker, because even though we had calls with mortgage brokers, we hadn't settled on one because we didn't really know what to, you know, the house price changed, like what we was allowed to borrow. We actually ended up borrowing less. You know, we wanted to kind of wait until we'd found, well, I think you have to wait till you found somewhere to have, you know, the proper meeting with the mortgage broker where it kind of all gets put through. Once we'd found our new home, we then contacted the mortgage brokers, had another couple meetings with them, the same 2 or 3, got their fees and kind of worked everything out. So once they kind of tell you what your monthly payments will be and stuff like that, that's when me and my organised self come into it, and I work everything out right down to the T, like right down to the littlest thing. I will work out, so what we both get paid, and then I'll work out all of our bills. So our new mortgage, our car finance, our car insurance, phone bills. I've tried to work out electricity bills and, you know, water bills and all that, but obviously I know that that's going to change when we move because you're in a bigger property, it's more, you know. But I've tried to roughly work it out. So I work every little thing out, right down to the littlest thing. Food shopping, petrol, that's how we do it anyway. And we've been doing that. So I'm just copying what we have been doing. And then I know what we're left with, and then we split that, and then that's our disposable money for whatever we want to spend on ourselves. So that's when, yeah, I started organising and working everything out. Oh, I'm having a call now. That's another thing, loads of phone calls. Yeah, you get so many phone calls coming through. So yeah, where was I? So yeah, I started working everything out, you know, all our finances, so we knew what we'd be left with, because also we commute as well. We both commute, and where we're moving to, the commute is going to be more expensive, so you got to counter that in. You got to weigh out the pros and cons, and, you know, make sure that we are going to be okay financially every month. That's the most important thing. You know, we don't want to make ourselves struggle and stuff like that. So once we'd found our mortgage broker, we also had to get in contact with a solicitors. Now this is where it gets interesting. I need a sip of coffee. I had 2 solicitors that I got quotes from, and one of them came up cheaper, quite a lot cheaper than the other. So it was a no-brainer. I mean, I know some solicitors, the more you pay, the better service you get, but you know, at this point we was like, do you know what, we'll just go for the cheaper one. So we had to call these solicitors quite a lot to kind of get the first load of paperwork sent through so we could fill it out, which was a little bit of ag at the beginning. Once they sent the paperwork through, oh my god, there was so much paperwork to fill out. So we had to fill out, the first load was like speaking about your, like writing all your personal details down, I think your like estate agent details, and then it was going on to your property that you currently own. So it's like what sort of things you're leaving in the property for the new buyers, so like washing machine, fridge, if you're leaving that sort of stuff, you need to write it down and write like a price that if you want to charge someone for it. Any wardrobes and stuff like that that you want to leave, you have to literally write everything down that you're leaving in that property, and if you're not leaving it. That literally took about 2 hours, I'd say, of our evening, maybe longer. There was questions on there that we didn't even know. Like, it was so difficult. We had to call a few people up to ask them, like people that might know, like, a little bit more experience, like my dad and my friend who's really good with the moving process and stuff like that. But we got it done, and yeah, it took about 2-3 hours. So we sent that back that night, so we was, again, very quick. We got it done, they received it, and then we were waiting for the next load to come through. So when they sent the next load through, which was probably a day or 2 after, Harry was reading through the forms and noticed that there was like kind of like a hidden fee in a way. I mean, he told me about it and I was like, well, do you want to call them and just confirm it? So he called them up and they confirmed that that was like an extra fee onto the one that they'd already given us. So at that point, those solicitors were coming out more expensive than the ones that I had before. You know, the one where I said that that one was originally the cheaper one and the other one was more expensive? They ended up being more expensive than the other one that was originally expensive. So I said, I'm not paying that. Like, it was so expensive. It really peed me off because I just thought, why have you hidden that? Like, why not just tell us that at the beginning? Because it saves your time and it saves our time. But no, they decided to stick it in there and, I don't know, hope that we didn't see it, or, I mean, good job Harry read through it, because I mean, I don't always notice things first time round. Once he told me, I then got onto the other solicitors, you know, the first ones that were originally expensive, and I called them up and I said, look, we've had this situation with another solicitors and there's been like hidden fees, and I just want you to break everything down for me. And this is where coming into where I say, you know, it can be daunting asking silly questions, because I said to her, I said, look, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm not experienced at this, can you please just help me and break this down for me and just make sure that what the quote you're giving us is correct, and there's going to be no kind of big fee that's going to jump out at us at the end or midway through. Do you know what I mean? So she was so lovely, the lady, and she broke everything down for me, and she said, look, this is the total amount and this is what you're going to be paying. So we was very clear and we knew what we'd be paying, and I just said, look, okay, we're gonna go with you guys. Can you send us whatever paperwork you want us to fill out to start the process, and we'll get it done and sent back to you ASAP. So I said to Harry, I said, you need to call the other solicitors and tell them that we're not going with them, and that, you know, it's their fault, they've slipped a hidden fee in and they weren't clear with their original quote. So he did that, and they were pretty, you know, okay with it, because I guess at the end of the day it's their fault, they haven't made it clear. So anyway, we've decided to go with this new solicitors now, so we're filling out the paperwork for that. We have to fill out all that paperwork again, but luckily Harry printed out the original one that we sent to the other solicitors, so he just copied it over. Anyway, I hope this isn't boring you guys, I hope I'm kind of being informative here. I just kind of want to tell my story, you know, on a personal level. I'm going to go on to Help to Buy loan now to pay that back, because that's a whole nother story that you guys need to know if you're going to go through the Help to Buy process. We've got our solicitors, we've got our mortgage broker. Now we need to contact Target, which are the Help to Buy people, basically. This is where my friend Hazel helped me out. She's actually done a video on the Help to Buy, like paying that back. So if you want to watch that, perhaps I'll link that in the description box, because she obviously talks about it on more of a professional, you know, she uses all the right words and stuff like that, whereas me, I'm just like, you know. So yeah, I'll link that one below if you want to watch it. Anyway, it really did help me out because it taught me things that I didn't know. So basically, with the whole Target thing, you have to get a risk valuation done, which means you have to find a surveyor. So you need to go on to, if you type in Google risk valuation, you should be able to search ones in your area. So you need to call them up and get a quote, because all of them are different. So one day I spent all afternoon calling different, oh, that's loud, calling up different surveyors to come and give us a risk valuation. I don't understand this risk valuation. I think it's an absolute scam, because basically all they do is they come round, they have a look around your property, take pictures, measurements, they ask you how much you've sold your property for. Basically, I mean, the woman on the phone told me they're gonna value it at what you've sold it for. They're gonna value it at the highest price, which is what we've sold it for, because obviously what we've sold it for is more than what we bought it for. So as I said, they're all different prices. So one I called up was £600. Hell no, I'm not paying £600 for that. Another one I called up was, I think, about £380, and then I managed to find one for £340. So I paid £340, or we paid £340 for someone to come round, look at our property, take some pictures, measure up, to create a report on our property, but basically just value it at what it's sold for. You have to get that done, so, which I didn't know about until I watched Hazel's video. So we had that done. That's the first process. You have to have that report done. It's a legal requirement to get that done, that valuation done, sorry. And then once you've had that done, you have to email Target. So if you go on their website, it will say, I think it's like myfirsthome.org.uk or something like that, and it tells you the process of what you need to do. Basically, you have to email them with the report, the risk valuation report. You have to email them proof that you've, oh no wait, I missed a step. Sorry, there's so much to say. I hope I'm making sense, and I hope you're understanding me. You also have to pay £200 to start the application to pay your loan back. On the website that I told you about, it says their bank details, and you have to pay them £200 to start the application. You then in the email have to send a screenshot to prove that you've paid it in the email. So you send the screenshot of the payment, the report, and you also have to fill out a form which is on their website, which basically tells them your details and your solicitor details. And you have to attach all those 3 things to an email, and I just written the email: to who it may concern, this is our application email to start the process of our loan redemption. I look forward to hearing from you. All the best, Holly. This man is really about to cut the trees down right in front of me whilst I'm filming. Guys, I might have to drive back home and sit in my car park. Is he going away? Yeah. Right, I'm gonna drive back to my car park because I can't film with that noise. So I think what I was saying is about the Help to Buy email, having to send that through. So prior to this, the solicitors had warned me, and the the surveyor that came round to do the RICS valuation, they both told me that targets, so the Help to Buy people, are a pain in the butt to work with, or like to communicate with. So I was thinking, oh god, here we go, this is probably going to be the stressful part. Or, well, I'd say the beginning is the stressful part, like finding your mortgage broker, finding your solicitors, filling out all those, like really kind of understanding like the mortgage calls, like broker calls, quite hard to understand, like with all the figures and stuff. I mean, I'm not the best with maths, I'm absolutely crap at maths. So for me, that was really hard to understand, like all the figures and the numbers. But I'd say that was probably the most stressful part for me. And then I thought, okay, paying back this Help to Buy loan is going to be the next stressful part, because both of these people had warned me. So anyway, sent this email through to help to Target. I thought, okay, I'll give them a few days. So I think I sent it on a Thursday. So I thought, if I call them the following week, I'll give it a week and I'll call them. So I called them up, said, I'm just calling to see if you've received my email. I sent an email through on whatever date to start paying back my Help to Buy loan. The guy was really helpful. He said, okay, let me just put the details in. You have to have an account number and that. And he found the email and he said, okay, he said, I'm going to put it into the system now. So he started putting it into the system as I was on the phone to him. He said, so the next step, he says, I need to send a load of forms to your solicitors, and basically that is it. So I said, oh, I said, okay. I said, well, can that be done via email? Because I know that they do a lot by post. And I said, to speed up the process, could we have it done by email? And they was like, yeah, sure. But you need to call us back in the next 48 hours to request that. So I was like, oh, okay. So 48 hours went by, called them back up, and I said, oh hi, I said, I'm just calling to, I called up the other day and they said I needed to call back to ask for my forms to be put in a email to my solicitors. And she was like, yeah, that's fine, I can do that right now. I said, oh really, like how quick can you do that? Because everyone was making it out to me that they were a pain to work with and communicate with, but I found it fine. She was like, yeah, no, I can literally do it right now. She said obviously it has to be like password secured, so she had to send me the password to tell the solicitors. And literally as soon as I hung up the phone, I got the email through and boom, I sent it to my solicitors, and it was all very quick. I mean, as it stands, everything is out of our hands at the moment. So the Help to Buy thing has been received by the solicitors. We've got our mortgage in place. So our next step is, when you're buying a older property, so our new home that we're buying was built in the 70s. So it's an older home, it's not a new build or anything. When you buy an older home, you have the option to have a structural survey, or I don't know if they call it like a building survey. But basically you have to, again, call around, get quotes, don't just go off one, and find the best quote. And they basically go round to your new home that you're purchasing. They basically check to see the build of it, so the structure of it and how it's built. They make sure that there's no like damp or rot, or they make sure that the building, the home isn't like sinking or anything, like, you know, things that you wouldn't really see looking at it. They really have to like check all the walls, like inside the walls and stuff, and that costs about £440. Some charge more, but the best one I found was £440. That's optional. You don't have to have that, but if you're buying an older property and you don't have it, and then you move in and maybe a year or two later or even longer down the line, something bad starts to happen to your house, like starts sinking, or I don't know, you get rot from something that's maybe hidden behind the walls or something, then you're gonna have to pay for that because you didn't have the survey at the beginning which would tell you that. So, you know, I was a bit like, even though it's a lot of money, £440, for my own good and my own, like, you know, my peace of mind, I would rather just pay to get that done, and then I know, which is being done today actually, they will then come back to us and say, this needs doing, like this is really, really bad, you need to urgently get this looked at. Hopefully everything comes back fine, but you know, it's just for my own peace of mind to know that everything's fine and we're not going to have any kind of things pop up in a few years time, you know. And luckily we had money set aside for any of those kind of fees, and that is where we're at. So that's been done today. We should get the report back. I don't know how quick they are on making the report, so I'd say end of the week latest. Oh, one thing I do want to say is if you have a Help to Buy loan to pay back, when you come to sell your property, you don't pay back the same amount that you borrowed, you end up paying back more. We borrowed 35,000 from the government, so that was what they gave us to go towards our property. We now have to pay back 41,000. Like, I don't care that you guys know how much it is because it's not a big deal. Like, it's what they lent us and we have to pay that back. Like, I'm not going to be secretive about that. I don't need to be. But yeah, so it's 20% of what your property sells for. What they lent you, scrap that, don't base it off of that. It will be 20% of what you sell your property for that will go back to the government. So it's a bit crafty in a way. Like, they don't tell you that at the beginning. Like, we was absolutely clueless. We didn't know that we needed to pay £200 to start the application. We didn't know we needed to pay, what was it, £280 to get the RICS valuation. And we didn't know that it would be 20% of what your property sells for to pay it back. So we didn't know you'd be paying more back at the end when you come to sell your property. Yeah, they don't make those things clear. So that's what I'm here for. So if you do have a Help to Buy loan, or if you're looking to go through that, down that road, I would recommend it. I'm not saying I'm not recommending it, because at the end of the day, that helped us get our first home. So I'm not, you know, I'm not against it or anything. I'm just saying that they don't make those things clear to you at the beginning. I suppose they wouldn't, because it scare most people off. What I'm saying now is if you have a Help to Buy loan now and you're looking to sell your property, just beware that these are the things that you're going to have to pay. The next thing I've got on my list is just to basically say that the first, like, if you're looking to move out and get a mortgage, it's tough. Like, it's a lot to adjust to. Like, I'll just go back to when me and Harry moved into our first apartment. I mean, it's a lot to adjust to, and you know, we didn't know the best kind of way to do the bills and stuff like that. You know, we tried so many different ways. We tried, you know, whoever earns the most to pay the higher bills, and whoever earns less pay the smaller bills. We tried that, didn't work. In the end, we decided to put both of our wages together, all the bills come out, and then whatever's left we split in half, and we both have the same amount disposable income each month. That's what works best for us. You've just got to try and find the best way that works for you and your partner, or whoever you're moving out with. For the first few months, you don't really know what your bills are going to be. Like, we didn't know what our electricity bill was going to be for quite a few months. Like, it was changing all the time, and like your water bill. So we didn't really know the exact amount. Like, now we know the exact amount we're left with each month because our bills are always the same. But when you first move in, it takes a lot of adjusting to get to know what you're going to be left with, and you're most probably going to be left with not that much, especially if you're a first-time buyer and you're used to having a lot of money left over living at home. Like, we was left with so much money left over because we didn't pay anything because we lived with our parents. So, you know, when you move out, you got responsibilities and you've got a lot of bills to pay: council tax, home insurance, life insurance, TV license. Like, all these things, like, I had no idea about, like I didn't really take into account. It's going to be the same when we move into our new home. I said to Harry, I said it's going to take a while to adjust, because even though I've tried to work everything out right down to the last penny, like I said, I don't know what our electricity bill's going to be, or our water bill. Like, I know it's going to be more probably because we're in a bigger home. Guys, I had to come inside. My camera was heating up on that dashboard. This is kind of the end now anyway. I'm just going to answer some of your questions. As I said, there wasn't many. One of the question was, how hard is it to get a mortgage? To be honest, I haven't found it difficult at all. I mean, the first time round we had no issues. The second time round it all went through very smoothly. When we were on the call with the mortgage broker, obviously he had to ask if we were working all the way through COVID, and some of you may know that Harry actually lost his job as soon as we went into lockdown last year. I mean, he wasn't out of work for long because he managed to find a local job, but when he told the guy that, I thought, oh my god, that's gonna like really kind of make it hard for us to get a mortgage. But it didn't. It all went through really smoothly, and we got one within the next few days. Someone else asked about credit score. To be honest, I think the only way to build up your credit score is to have a credit card, which I know sounds bizarre because you'd think having a credit card would damage it a little bit, because it, you know, it looks like you're always relying on the credit card. But then it's all to do with like paying back and stuff like that. If you have a credit card and they can see that you're good at paying it back, then it just shows that you're good at paying things back, basically. I don't have a credit card. I used to have one, but I decided that I didn't want to have one anymore. I got rid of it and Harry got one. So yeah, I don't know if that's affected my credit rating because I don't have a credit card. Obviously they can see that I've got finances and that I pay them regularly, but I don't know. I don't actually know what my credit rating is. So, but for us, it went through absolutely fine. Okay, so the last few questions were, how much have you paid in fees and to your mortgage advisor? So I'm going to be completely honest here and just tell you guys how much fees we have paid, because I don't think it's very helpful if I was to not tell you how much we've paid, because I had absolutely no idea really how much fees were going to cost. So I know that's a really helpful thing to say. So I've just worked out that the estate agent fees, so the fee that we pay to our estate agent who sold our apartment, that comes out the sale of this property. So we won't really see that come out because they will just take, like, the solicitors will send that to the estate agent before we've even seen the money, sort of thing. Also, the solicitor fee will come out the sale of this house as well, this apartment. So the estate agent fee, I mean, this will vary with who you go with, but the one that we went with, they charge $1,750, so $1,750 plus VAT. That is $350. The solicitor fee is £2,424. That also comes out the sale of this property. The rest is what we have had to pay out of our own savings. The Help to Buy application, which I told you about, that's £200. The RICS survey, which I also told you about, was $248. The structural survey that we're having on our new house, which is optional, you don't have to have that, but if you want to have it for your own peace of mind, we paid $440 for that. And then there's one more that, again, I think is a bit of a cheeky one. So when you live in a apartment block, you have a management company where you pay ground rent and you pay service charge. When you come to sell, you have to pay for a management pack to be made. So the management company create this pack for the new people that are moving in. We have to pay for that. So that cost us £348, which, like I said, is a bit of a cheeky one. I don't think that should be, you know, why should we have to pay for that pack to be made for the new people? So overall, we have spent £1,236.88 on fees from our own money. I don't think that's a lot. And also, currently, there's no stamp duty. So we are getting out of that one, which is really handy. So that would have saved us about, I don't know, £2,000–3,000. So that is really helpful that there's no stamp duty right now. And then obviously the equity that we've made in this property is going towards paying back our Help to Buy loan, which is 41,000, and then the rest is going on our new home as a deposit. That is basically it. Oh, and the last question was how much did you pay your mortgage advisor? So we actually didn't have to pay our mortgage broker anything. I'm not going to go into detail, but we ended up not having to pay that fee. He was going to charge a fee of £495, and the other broker fees I got were, I think, £280. Another one was £425, so they vary. So again, make sure you get your quotes and compare them and see what one is best for you. I really hope this has helped. I hope it's been informative on a personal level. I hope I haven't used too many technical words, and if you do have any other questions that you want to ask, then I'm more than happy to help if I know them. Like I said, I'm not an advisor, I'm not advising you to do anything, I'm just sharing my personal experience and trying to help you, because they don't teach you these things in school. Thank you so much for watching. If you are new here, then make sure you subscribe, because I'm going to be filming lots of content in the next however long. Whenever we get a moving day, I'm going to be starting a moving series, and hopefully I will see you all in my next one.